The Flying Huskies continue their trek across the Great White North tonight with a visit to one of Canada's most beloved circuits, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Will this track's undulating nature shift advantage back to Michael Broomhead, who's been struggling as of late, or will Andrew Hardman continue to streak away from the field? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 9 of the Flying Husky Racing Series, and you'll see it all here live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm DJ Clark, and with me in the booth is Reese Gardner. Behind the scenes is our director, Joe Peak, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Motorsport has held host to many types of cars and series throughout the years, but it continues to present many a challenge. Let's head over to our track guide to find out just what some of those may be.
Welcome to Lime Rock Park. Located in the northwest corner of Connecticut, this unassuming little track has garnered a surprisingly passionate following. Welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, or as most fans know it, Motorsport. This circuit to the northeast of Toronto is a rarity in the world of racing today. Safety standards and the desire for more overtaking opportunities has caused most tracks to alter their layouts over the years. But Motorsport is still exactly the same footprint as it was when it was built in 1961. A mere 11 turns, most of which are high-speed sweepers, are dispersed among 2.5 miles, or just shy of 4 kilometers. The only alterations to the turns have been to the runoff areas, but otherwise the radii, camber, and elevation changes are all untouched. Because cars have continued to get faster through the passage of time, it's made this place a fearsome beast to tackle. Clayton Corner is particularly notorious. The blind crest and steep plunge combined with incredibly high speeds to create a punishing combination. Without many heavy braking zones, passing is often difficult. And other than using the slipstream up the Mario Andretti Straight, the only other option is usually Moss Corner. This double apex hairpin is named after Sir Sterling Moss for his suggestion to redesign it after he saw its initial layout. While the plateau-like middle portion and critical exit onto the backstretch certainly give it plenty of character, the heavy compression at the bottom of the hill that causes a frighteningly short braking zone makes this one not for the faint of heart. Formula One, USAC, and IMSA have all taken their turns here, but recently NASCAR has joined the fray by holding a round for the Truck Series. Old school fans can rejoice for the enduring popularity of this bastion of untouched tarmac, but any motorsports enthusiast can't help but smile at the thrill Motorsport continues to provide.
Well, Reese, I think this place would best be described as old school, but how do you think that these relatively modern Formula 3s are going to handle it?
Well, there's only 10 turns around this place. The track layout hasn't changed at all since it was opened in 1961, but every single one of those turns is a make or break corner for the lap. These Formula 3 cars produce a fair amount of downforce, which means they can carry a great deal of speed around this 2.5 miles, but the drivers will have to be precise. They will have to be brave at the same time to get the maximum out of every single lap time, particularly in the final sector, just gradually slowing down to that final turn while still carrying a great deal of speed. I'm looking forward to seeing who comes out on top.
As am I, and we're starting to get a sense of that as drivers are currently in the middle of the qualifying. But before we do, we want to thank our sponsors for tonight. First off is Norsled. Norsled is a non-profit animal welfare organization dedicated to rescuing, rehabilitating, and finding homes for unwanted, abandoned, and abused husky dogs. Today, every Flying Husky Racing track day or car event benefits Norsled, with a portion of the proceeds being donated to them. Even if you can't adopt, you can still help ensure care for these amazing animals through your support. Save a Husky. For more information, contact Todd Curtis through email at todd@flyinghusky.racing. Today's event is also brought to you by Flying Husky Racing. Flying Husky Racing is a car club based in the Pacific Northwest that delivers premium track days and car events for automotive enthusiasts. FHR is dedicated to safety, development, and building community among members and participants. Find out more on the web at flyinghusky.racing. Flying Husky Racing. Track days are the best days. Well, before we fully get into this, we want to look at those championship standings here today. As you can see, Michael Broomhead, whose advantage was a lot bigger a couple of rounds ago, is now having it squeezed down to only 6 points over Andrew Hardman with that hard charge that Hardman has made over the past few rounds. Nicholas Colander sits 24 points back, so still within striking distance, but a little bit ways to go. And behind him, it's Nick Horvath and Hans Salnave, only separated by 3 points, so maybe a little battle brewing up there for fourth. But Reese, what about today's race details?
Well, it's the same story as always in Flying Husky. Fixed setup, 25-minute race, fast repair available. So the drivers are going to have to deal with what they've been given in terms of the handling characteristics of their cars. And unlike last week at Montreal, we don't expect that there's going to be less fuel in the cars than anticipated. So I think it's going to be an out-and-out sprint to the end around here. That said, there's an awful lot of time on this track spent on full throttle, so that's something that the drivers are going to have to watch out for. Here is the pole man, Andrew Hardman. As things stand at the moment, he and Broomhead are only separated by 1/10 of a second. Right at the end, this championship is really starting to climb in intensity.
It very, very much is, as we watch Hardman on another one of his home circuits here, making his way down the Mario Andretti straightaway. Couple of new faces to this series in particular, but not new faces to GSRC, also popping their way into the running order. Tyler Scarali, one of them, currently running third right now. Hardman right now makes his way out of that tricky White's corner. That's going to be even faster there for Hardman, as Nick Horvath is also able to jump over Michael Broomhead into second.
Whoa, okay, that's a big surprise there from Nick Horvath. That's a brilliant time right there. Broomhead's going to have to respond here in the last 4 minutes of the session. A lap around here taking about 70 seconds or so still plenty of opportunity, but it's going to be difficult with how bumpy and how quick this circuit is. Scarali, he just took a bit too much curb there on the exit, but yeah, that's worked out to not count for him. That's a big shame for Tyler. That would have been an improvement, but he would have stayed fourth regardless. What about Tyler Gore?
Yeah, Gore, another one of those faces that we're used to seeing in the Precision Racing League. He's going to be able to improve there by a couple of tenths of a second. That'll bump his way up to fourth place, so good run for him. Here's Nicholas Colander. Remember that good battle we saw last time out between him and Broomhead in Montreal. Let's see if Colander has anything. No, by about 0.08 of a second. He's off. Here comes Nick Horvath. Let's see what he's got. He's going to cross over the line. I don't think that's going to count for Horvath.
Unfortunately, but I think he will still be happy with that P2 time as things stand. We got a nice field of 12 cars today, which is really good to see, with A couple of drivers making their series debut and a few more returning from previous rounds. Broomhead here getting a draft down the Mario Andretti straight into the S's, which might help his lap time here. 1:10.279, it's the time that he's on at the moment. He only needs 7 thousandths to pip Nick Horvath to second. He's going to have to find 2 tenths in order to get pole. Does he do it? Oh my goodness, 1:9.3 for Michael Broomhead, back up into second place. Still not enough to tackle Andrew Hardman.
No, not enough, but that front row is now looking very familiar with Hardman and Broomhead locking it out for now, but still about 2 minutes to go here in qualifying, so plenty can change. Watching that number 11 machine, Andrew Hardman, he's won 2 races on the trot and closed down that championship advantage. Now working his way through the S's. You can see that car twitching a little bit as he throws it through the corners. So tricky to get right. Perfect amount of curbing there. He's able to go faster, the first driver to drop down into the 109s.
My goodness, Andrew Hardman is on fire here in the latter half of the season. I'm so impressed with the form that he's been able to carry, taking advantage of poor happenings for Michael Broomhead. What about Corollary? We think he might be up on this time, but he's a little bit wide there in the penultimate corner, compromising his entry to Whites. Let's see if he can hold on for a lap time here. Doesn't look like he'll... Oh, actually, yes, he will. He's gained 100th there, still remaining in 4th.
Yeah, and it's a good point you bring up there. Coming through the S's, just a little bit of a squiggle from the car can completely upset you and mess up that whole last sector and really, really damage your lap. As we watch Nicholas Colander hoping to avoid anything like that. Could be a little bit closer to the apex there, but able to bring it back around very wide through Whites. He's not going to be happy with that. That's going to be a slow time for the 9.73. So it looks like he's going to have a little bit more to go. Here comes Horvath. Let's see if Horvath is able to do it. Oh, runs wide at Whites. Very lucky to keep the car pointed the right way.
Very lucky indeed. You know, this scan on the iRacing service dates from before tarmac runoffs were added at most corners in the opening sector here at Motorsport. So the drivers still have to deal with grass right by the edge of the track. I certainly won't complain about that. Certainly gives us great moments like that and forces the drivers to really be precise and accurate. It looks like Tyler Scaralli's not going to be able to improve on that time as things stand. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 qualifying over. What can Broomhead do? Cannot improve.
He can improve, but I think he crossed the line in just enough time to be able to get one more flyer in. But the man of the hour right now is Andrew Hardman. We watch him as he goes down to that curving Mario Andretti straight, working his way towards the S's. You have to have total commitment here as you dive in and slowly bleed off the speed coming through that corner. Gets a good run there into Whites. Looks like he's got the perfect amount of curb. Is he able to improve on that 109? He is with the 109.822.
How good was that onboard from Andrew Hardman? Loves seeing the drivers work their way through the final corners here at Motorsport. Gene Hawkes unable to improve on his current time for P11. We've still got Hans Salnave completing a lap here. But Andrew Hardman really stamping his name on this round.
Well, we heard him say last week how much he enjoyed running this circuit. Ooh, a little bit of a squiggly line there for Hans. Is he going to be able to better his time? No, by about 200ths of a second. But here's the real question. Broomhead out of the final corner. Does he have anything? He's able to go a couple of thousandths faster, but it's not going to be enough to pip Andrew Hardman.
Oh man, I think Broomhead will be ruining that, but on the other side of the garage at Britannia, Andrew Hardman absolutely ecstatic with that time. Really looking forward to this race now. We're looking very competitive out here. I'm seeing a battle for the lead and battles for third on back as well with how close the times have been in qualifying.
As have I, and let's see if we can go ahead and bring you that qualifying grid as we get ready to go green here at Motorsport. Beautiful Mario Andretti straightaway there. You can see curving its way around those final corners. Starting off on the pole, it is going to be Andrew Hardman, followed by Michael Broomhead. Nick Horvath and Tyler Scarali will line up behind him with Tyler Gore and Nicholas Kolnader. Harlan Goldborn and James Doherty behind them. Calvin Lee and Phil Horwitz lining up behind them and bringing up the back of the field. It's Gene Hawks and Hans Salnave. But though here come the lights, we're ready to go. Waiting for that green flag to fly, and they are off. Everybody dropping away. Not the best start again for Broomhead. He's already looking like he's going to be swallowed up by Horvath. I think that's Scarali almost thinking about a look down the inside, but they're relatively single file there up in the front as they make their way through the first corner. Now this is going to be tricky on cold tires coming down through Clayton. Everybody in those leaders looking like they're keeping it together. Almost a little bit of contact in the back of the field. I think that was Calvin Lee and Gene Hawks.
Yeah, a little bit of contact there, but this is a nice open start to the lap here. Good thing that no one got into the grass out of turn one, otherwise that might have caused a pile-up. Now down to Moss Corner, this magnificent hairpin turn, double apex. You got to slow it right down as there's a move back in the field. That's Phil Horwitz getting by Calvin Lee through the hairpin. Good stuff. Now down the Mario Andretti straightaway. It looks like Nicholas Kolnader about to be swallowed up by Harlan Goldborn with a big draft there, and it's side by side for second as well, even for third and fourth.
Indeed, we're going Noah's Ark style 2x2 all the way through here. That's Broomhead trying to press an advantage on Nick Horvath. They're still side by side coming through the S's. It's going to switch back to Horvath's advantage. Broomhead looking for a little bit of an over-under. That's Horvath running a little bit wide. Broomhead continues to follow in the tire tracks of that 382. It's a little bit of an outside line going through turn one. Is he going to be brave enough to try to dive down to the braking zone as they go through Clayton? No, he's going to hold it together.
There's barely any braking zone to speak of at Clayton in these cars. It's basically just a lift and tip it in. Make sure that you don't go wide and into the tyre barriers. Looks like the field's spacing out a little bit, and the main story here, Andrew Hardman now starting to skip away from everyone. He holds on to the lead by 1.26 seconds as they come into Moss for the second time. Let's see if Broomhead can line up another draft on Horvath here and try and get second place back.
Well, that's what he's going to be hoping to do, but as we saw, it's so tricky to get that right coming through the S's. Oh, there you see a little bit of a defensive move out of Nick Horvath trying to break that draft from Michael Broomhead. Don't know how successful it's going to be. It's going to have to be a late move. Oh, a blink there from Horvath. That's going to scare the daylights out of Michael Broomhead, but there they are side by side. Almost Broomhead able to keep it together. Whew, that's why you need a stable internet connection, folks.
Yeah, goodness me, it's always a big hit to the confidence when a car blinks out of existence, but Broomhead up the inside now into turn one, descending down the hill. Horvath has left a bit of room on the outside, and he's not far up enough to try and make a move into Clayton, is he? Oh, he had a red-hot go of it, but Broomhead just managing to cover him off. But that battle for second is going to continue for pretty much the whole race, I would imagine, with how much these guys are pushing each other. They're also giving some time to Tyler Gore and Tyler Scarali behind. So this could potentially be a four-way battle for second.
Indeed, and remember that this is a fixed setup league, so it's not like one of these guys could be running less wing. That is all just the benefit of the draft coming off these cars. Now, Gore very close behind there, only about 0.4 of a second, so he's going to get a good pull, as is Scarali. Let's keep our eyes focused here, see who's going to be the first to pop out. Broomhead pulling a little bit of Horvath's own medicine, doing a little bit of weave, trying to break that draft the best he can. I think he's got it covered off. Ooh, that's a late move there in the back for Tyler Scarali to the inside of Tyler Gore through the S's.
Oh, and he doesn't manage to maintain the mid-corner momentum. Gore a little bit compromised out of the penultimate turn, but still manages to cover off the move into the final turn. There is a bit of a run here for Scarali, though. He's going to try and do what Broomhead did on the last lap, up the inside into turn one, and through he goes, as Hardman already into the 110s in terms of race lap times. Scarali then into fourth, and those two groups have spaced themselves out now. But it's looking like a rollicking battle for eighth on back. I saw these guys getting very close on the back straight last time round. The likes of Kolnader, Lee, Horwitz, and Hawks, they are all pushing each other very hard here. As down into Moss, there's potentially another move here, but nothing doing for the time being. Hans Salnave is also dealing with a bit of damage. These guys are about to come up to him on the back stretch, and I think Salnave, yeah, he's just going off the track there to let everybody go. Unfortunate there for the 5th place guy in the championship.
Yeah, very unfortunate, just getting collected into the wall. We'll have to figure out what happened. But all of that has allowed for Broomhead to pull out a little bit. But there you can see out of the back of Tyler Scaralli's machine, that's Tyler Gore keeping close with him, getting a good run there through the S's, taking a little bit better of a line as they exit out of white. Even the Constantina effect, not enough to break Scaralli away from Tyler Gore. Michael Broomhead, though, now in clean air, setting the fastest lap of the race. Oh, that's Scaralli going off. Is that going to be enough for Gore to push an advantage? That's going to slow down some of that straight line speed coming over the crest of Clayton. Gore is now coming on a blink again. Oi, 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 you hate to see that. But here comes Tyler Gore. He is on the press. We saw him have almost a little bit of a look into Moss last lap. Is he going to go for it again?
Looks like he's a bit too far back to get the move done in the braking zone, but Scaralli, a little bit of a kick from the rear end as he came over the crest. Doesn't seem to have hurt him too much coming onto the back straight as we ride on board with Tyler Gore. This magnificent view of the draft down the Mario Andretti straight, and as we pointed out, it's not really straight. You do end up getting a great draft down here, though. Again, though, it seems that he's just not close enough to take any advantage.
Well, and that's one of the things that Moss hairpin does set up, is the way you have to break into it can be very, very squirrely, and you can lose a lot of time on exit if you don't get the throttle absolutely perfect. But there comes Andrew Hardman responding with the fastest lap of the race, and Michael Broomhead saying, no, thank you, I'll take that back. We'll keep an eye on that gap for the front. It is down to about 1.6 seconds as of right now.
Goodness me, this is turning into the best race of the season so far. I'm really enjoying how close the battling is here around Motorsport, and that battle for the lead certainly looking like it could potentially go off towards the end. We're under 20 minutes to go here, so the time is rapidly ticking away for the drivers to try and make moves, but just through Moss. Nick Horvath a little bit wide of the apex. He does pick up the throttle a little earlier, which allows him to stay ahead of Tyler Scaralli. But this could potentially be another move here, DJ. Look at how powerful the draft is.
Yeah, big time. That's going to be Scaralli moving out to the outside there. Now, that's going to not give him a good position through that first part of the S's, but it does switch back to him. He's just got to really hold it out and pray here. Momentum carries him around, comes back through the S's again. They're side by side. Little bit of a push out there for Nick Horvath. He says, you're not taking this away from me, but he runs off into the grass. Scaralli not done yet.
Not done by any means. Bumper to bumper now out of turn one. Could he get the momentum here into Clayton? He shows the nose. Nick Horvath leaves him room and he's gone off the circuit, and there's no recovering that. Into the tyre barrier he goes. Once you hit that grass, you are done.
And Reese, that is absolutely a mental game that Tyler Scaralli just played. He knew that if you got a little bit too far wide coming through Clayton like that, that's what could happen. And Horvath there not wanting to lift out of it. We ride on board here. There you can see the move. Looking down into the mirrors, he tries to make it down. There you can see the correction. He saw Scaralli down to the inside, tried to get out of his way, and blammo, right into that tire wall.
My goodness, yeah, it's always so painful as a driver when you run a little bit wide through Clayton and you just catch the grass on the outside. You know that there's only one way it can end up, especially if you're carrying as much speed as you do in these cars. So at the end of it, that promotes Scaralli to third and Gore to fourth. Everyone else moving up a position now thanks to that. But the gap for the lead still getting worked on here by Michael Broomhead, and it's looking to me like Andrew Hardman just a little bit faster on the last lap, so Broomhead's going to have to find something extra here.
Yeah, the last two laps, indeed, it was about 1/10 of a second of an advantage for Andrew Hardman. I think he recognized the full court press coming from Michael Broomhead and starting to respond to it the best that he could. And there you can see what a great shot coming around Moss, one of the most picturesque corners in the world.
Indeed, and fun fact, if anyone watching is not aware, that corner is actually named for Sterling Moss, who tweaked the design of that corner when he saw the plans for the circuit layout. It was originally going to be a straight-up 180-degree hairpin, but Moss said, hey, why don't you make it 2 turns? The track designers said, okay, and it turned into one of the best hairpins in the world.
Did indeed, but let's jump back to this battle for P3 as Tyler Gore is all over the gearbox of Tyler Scarali. This fight keeping up. He lost a little bit of time there coming through the S's. I think just caught some arrow wash as they cross over the start-finish line. Of course, as I say that, Gore dropping back a little bit here. He's going to have some work to do to catch back up, but that number 12 purple and yellow machine, it certainly has some speed in it.
Yeah, plenty of speed being shown from both Tylers here today. They're a little bit too far back to make any impression on the lead battle, but if anything happens to Hardman or Broomhead, they'll be right there to take advantage. And with 15 minutes still to go in this race, we're still yet to get into the real meat of how this race is going to turn out. On board through Moss, you just come over the curb, the front end goes a bit light, you have to try and keep the weight on it so you can get the turn in for the second part of Moss and just nail the throttle. Up into fourth, up into fifth, and then sixth gear coming into the S's here. And this turn is basically just a lift in these Formula 3 cars. Fantastic to watch drivers go through there as check out Nicholas Colander now into P6. Something has happened to him, and we will check it out on the replay. It looks like this might have happened down at Moss.
Yeah, it's that run down to the corner, gets it right, coming through there, carries a little bit too much speed and just a little bit of maybe a rear lockup, just those rear tires not gripping enough. Very, very easy to do. What makes that corner so difficult is that you have to be applying steering and braking at the same time, and you've got to be extra careful not to lock up any part of the car.
Yeah, indeed. Well, it looks to me like just a little bit of rear wing damage there for Nicholas Colander, but the hit was taken by the rear crash structure, so the car should be fine. In a chassis sense, is oh no, I've just seen there's a problem down at Moss, Hans Sulnave, and Michael Broomhead.
Broomhead got collected in it. He was gaining on Hardman and he was collected. Sulnave had some sort of an incident. Let's see if we can check out this replay to figure out exactly what happened.
Broomhead lost it by himself, DJ. Oh, that's so painful. We're going to see it here. He just put Hans Sulnave a lap down, and then on the turn in for the second corner, he just loops it. Sulnave coming through the corner, nowhere for him to go.
It's a real heartbreak there for both drivers, and I think what put Broomhead out on that is he was on the inside line coming in, and that's really what caught him out. So he's going to come in here and take that faster pair that we've talked about. And so what that's going to do for the running order right now is Andrew Hardman will stay out front, with now Scarali and Gore taking up your final podium positions.
Well, another shift in the positions of this race then. We have an Andrew and two Tylers in the top three, and the battle for second now still just slowly burning away here. Everyone just monitoring everyone else as well as themselves, try and make as little mistakes as possible. Keep the momentum up through these corners. Momentum is so important here at Motorsport, just because the average speed is so high. It can make a huge difference to your lap times. For now, though, it seems that Tyler Gore, he is picking up a little bit of draft from Scarali here up ahead, but nothing doing for the time being. He's going to have to put in some really good lap times to get back up to the back of the 999 and try to make a move. But as we've seen through this section of the circuit, it's very difficult to actually pull a move off as Hardman sets another fastest lap.
Yeah, freed a little bit from having to look out of his rear view mirror. I think that has allowed him to go a little bit faster. Looks like Gore's been able to close back a little bit here. He's got that gap down to about 5/4 of a second or so as they come their way through Clayton. He had a good run through the S's. Later on the brakes there, going through Quebec, and able to keep up that momentum like you talked about, Reese. He looks like he's on a real charge here.
Yeah, looks like it. Won't be able to get the move done into Moss, though he is very late on the brakes, absolutely nailing the entry to that corner. It's going to be here on the straight where he starts to get the advantage. You've almost got to think a lap ahead when you're planning a move around here. It's almost like an oval. You got to rely on the draft, and here we go. The move is on. They're going to be side by side with Gore on the outside coming into turn 8. Let's see if he can pull it off. He's a little bit too wide. He could have afforded to go into the middle of the circuit there, just make the line a little wider, but Scarali himself running a bit wide. This might be a good over-under attempt.
He certainly thought about it there, did Tyler Gore. Is he going to have a look down into turn one? No, he's not. But remember what we saw with Nick Horvath going through that first corner. That's a squirrel there for both cars, but it's going to put them side by side going down into Clayton. Both of them managed to hold on for the moment, but the order stays the same. Corollary leading Gore, but Gore very much hot on his heels, trying to close it in. Gap holding at about a car length and a half. Bit of a bad exit there, though, out of Quebec for Tyler Gore. That'll cost him a couple of tenths. Not going to be close enough, I think, to get down into Moss. But here comes that ever-present draft once again. That's around for Corollary!
Oh, no! Just went a little bit too hard into Moss, caught the gravel and the grass on the outside, and that is second place gone now for Tyler Scarali. We'll get that on the replay. I saw Michael Broomhead setting the fastest lap by quite some margin as well, so he's not done in terms of pace here, though he is running down in 7th. Let's see how many positions he can gain, but on board here with Tyler. And you see just there, oh yeah, actually lost it before he got to the grass. Again, you know, that crest, you talked earlier, DJ, about how drivers have to brake and turn at the same time. Well, if you're at just the wrong angle going over that crest, then the rear end goes light and there's nothing you can do to recover.
Yeah, it's not like a standard corner where you can put in a little bit of counter steer and be able to catch the car. You've really just got to be on it. But I think this is a little bit of a battle shaping up. This is Nicholas Colander and Harlan Goulbourne with Michael Broomhead trailing behind them. That's Goulbourne in the middle of that sandwich with that bright neon machine chasing down the chrome liveried Colander.
Almost a bit of a look there from Harlan Goulbourne, but nothing happening, at least on the entry. On the exit, though, he's going to try up the inside into Quebec. He just backed out of it at the last moment, so Colander stays ahead. Yeah, did notice that Harlan Goulbourne taking a little bit more of the track on the exit, a little bit longer of a line, but he is able to maintain the speed as he makes rear-end contact there with Colander, who is sent wide. Broomhead, oh my goodness, the rear, oh, wow, okay. I panicked a little bit there because the front wing popped off Broomhead's car, but it's back on now, and he's going to try and make up some positions here.
He is, but he might be at a little bit of a disadvantage here depending on where Nicholas Colander positions his car. That's Goulbourne doing a very good job of trying to keep that draft up. Now Broomhead's going to stick back in it. He's going to dive to the inside, going through the S's. No, he's going to think better of it. They're going to go single file here through the first part. Goulbourne catching fast to the back of Colander. Has to check up big time. Broomhead being very, very patient with this battle. That's Goulbourne going wide.
Oh, okay, this could be a move for Broomhead into turn one. He shows the nose, and Goulbourne gives him the room. And just managing to keep it off the edge of the circuit there. Harland, my goodness, mate, calm down. Broomhead, look at the momentum he's carrying here versus Nicholas Colander. On the outside into Quebec, it's possible. Let's see if he can pull it off. Looks like he has.
Poetry in motion. Ladies and gentlemen, put that on a blackboard and teach it in class. That is how you get overtakes done here at Motorsport.
Oh, that's not how you get it done, though, into Moss. Nicholas Colander head on into the wall. Harlan Goulbourne rear-ending him into the braking zone. I think Colander was braking a little bit earlier than Goulbourne was expecting.
Yeah, and that can happen coming into Moss. It'll just catch you out. This is a great behind view. You can just see the absolute commitment there from Broomhead as he made his way around Colander. And yeah, now let's see this. This can happen, that massive concertina effect as you go into the corner. You can see a little bit of the draft. Goulbourne thought about it, just didn't expect it. Punterino, there goes Colander.
It should be noted as well that Colander was still carrying damage from his appointment with the wall at that very same corner some laps ago, so that might have affected his handling to the point where he was just taking it easy into the braking zones. Unfortunately, nothing more can be done about that now. So, Harlan Goulbourne now on his lonesome here through Clayton as Broomhead is just streaking away now up into 5th. Next target for Broomhead would be James Doherty, who pressured Broomhead for the win all the way back in round 1 at the Red Bull Ring. But you see that gap there, 14.5 seconds. That's going to be difficult to make up in just 6 minutes.
Yeah, it certainly is, and their times aren't too dissimilar, frankly. You can see that last lap comparison. Broomhead only 0.2 off. Granted, his best lap is about 0.7 better than Doherty ahead of him, but I still think that is a massive hill for the 0-0 to climb.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one here for Michael Broomhead. His last few rounds have not been completed to the standard that he probably expect of himself. So as things stand at the moment, Andrew Hardman taking the win. He probably will take the lead of the championship coming out of this round. So we're set for a proper championship showdown here.
Yeah, we are, and remember, only a couple of rounds left, so it's really going to come down to it. Next week, we head to Lime Rock, so a track very similar to this. Maybe a little difficult to overtake, but it'll present some really fascinating battles, I think, in these Formula 3 cars, especially with the kind of aggressive, clean heads-up driving we've seen from a lot of these guys here tonight. Some good stuff all the way around as Hardman makes his way down through White's corner, clock ticking down under 5 minutes to go.
Just watching a lap around here in any car is a sight to behold. There's a little bit of camber through turn one that allows you to carry a bit more speed. Just a slight lift here through Clayton's. Keep the line nice and smooth. Down into Quebec again. I love this corner. You've got to late apex it and just try to straighten out the acceleration as much as possible. You almost run it all the way to the outside of the racetrack like Parabolica at Monza. It's a beautiful track here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and you see the elevation change into Moss. What a brilliant corner that is too. You know, DJ, if I had the chance, or if I was on a desert island and I had iRacing loaded up with just one track on it, I'd probably choose this one.
I think I may have to agree with you a little bit there. It is one of those tracks that is just an absolute treat to drive. And when you get it right, Reese, there are a few better feelings in the world.
Yeah, especially through here. You see how beautifully smooth Andrew Hardman is. Just, just kissing the curbs on the inside, running a little bit over the red and white on the exit, and that's going to be a 1:10.651 there for Andrew Hardman. I think we're past the point where fastest laps will be set now. But my goodness, it's a proper roller coaster, this place. And, I'm so glad that apart from widening in the late 90s and, general safety improvements over the years, Motorsport has stayed pretty much the same as it was when it opened. You can't say that about a lot of racetracks today.
No, not at all. I mean, pretty much the only one that I can think of that has a history dating that far back is maybe even Road America, and I know there's been a few changes there made, but it's just an absolute gem. And I think a lot of times that phrase of an old school circuit gets thrown around a whole lot. Well, this one really and truly is. You couldn't really see a Formula One race here, and the reason for that is there's not as many heavy braking zones, but it is a driver's delight to get around here. And as these Formula 3s have proven, you can see some pretty darn good action, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that subject, Motorsport was actually the host of the Canadian Grand Prix from 1961 to 1977. It was replaced by Montreal, and it also alternated with the Mont-Tremblant circuit. That's a circuit I'd really love to see added to the iRacing service at Saint-Jovite. But certainly this place has hosted Formula One races in the past, but yeah, in the cars of today, I certainly couldn't see them racing here.
No, it'd just be a little bit too tricky, but we continue to watch here Andrew Hardman making his way around. I believe he will either come to one or two at the line here. A little bit of lap traffic in front of him, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem for him.
Yeah, it's for by and large, I think the traffic has been really good in this race. Everyone's been giving each other a good amount of room and trying their best to stay out of trouble. And for the most part, aside from Broomhead, we haven't seen any such incidents. Maybe a little bit of aero disturbance from the car ahead there for Andrew Hardman, just a little bit wide coming into the final turns here. But with 1:20 as he crossed the line, it looks like this is going to be 2 laps to go for our leader.
Indeed it will, and that is up ahead of him. I believe that's Colander. No, that's not Colander. Whoa, whoever it is, you don't have to worry about it anymore, as that has been a big off again coming through the grass. That's Gene Hawks. Excuse me. Sorry about that, Gene. As we've said, you just get a little bit offline there coming through Clayton, and it will bite you.
Indeed, but Gene Hawkes miraculously managed to avoid the tyre barrier there. He angled his car perfectly to avoid getting into the wall. So undamaged, he will continue. But for Andrew Hardman, this looks like a cruise to victory here at the moment, which he's been no stranger to in recent rounds.
No, I believe this is 3 on the trot for Hardman, so that will definitely help him out, not only in the championship, but as we've talked about a couple of times, success begets success. You get that sort of ego build, you get yourself built up, you start believing that you can do it, and it just improves your driving across the season. So here he crosses over the start-finish line one last time, getting that white flag from Barney. Andrew Hardman here with about an 11.5-second advantage over Tyler Gore in second.
That battle for second could still change on the final lap, though. You see there's less than 2 seconds separating Gore and Scarali here. So if Gore makes a mistake here on the final lap, then Scarali is going to be right there to take advantage and nab second place right at the end. But as it stands, Tyler Gore's been driving incredibly well here in this race. So very minimal chance of that. Andrew Hardman, though, is out now of Moss Corner, down the Mario Andretti straightaway, and it's just going to be 3 turns to go here for Andrew.
Indeed it is. He has Phil Harwitz and Hans Solnave up the road from him, but I don't think he's going to get to them quite in time. First through the right part of the S's and then back to the left. Starts to ply on the brakes a little bit for Whites. Gets it out of the corner. And once again, for the 3rd time running, Andrew Hardman will take victory here Tuesday night in the Flying Husky Racing Series. Behind him, Tyler Gore, a bit of a newcomer here in the series. He's going to take that second place, closely followed by Tyler Scarali. James Doherty is going to be coming across 4th in line here.
Indeed he will, and that's a nice strong 4th place for Doherty. Michael Broomhead, though, man, once again, it's a what could have been for Mr. Broomhead. He crosses the line sideways and in the wall, which basically sums up how this round has gone for him. But I think he'll still be happy with 5th place and a good haul of championship points. But with that win, Andrew Hardman has taken the lead of the championship.
He has indeed. And with that, we are going to head to a quick break, but don't go anywhere because we will be back with a unofficial race results as well as running through a couple of interviews with your podium finishers. Welcome back to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. You have just seen the Flying Huskies tame this fearsome circuit with, once again, Andrew Hardman coming out on top with Tyler Gore and Tyler Scarali making up the rest of your podium. James Doherty came out 4th, with Michael Broomhead fighting for that lead early on, but suffering a spin through Moss that sent him back through the field. Arlen Goldborn was the last car to finish on the lead lap. Reese?
Yeah, indeed. And then we go to Nicholas Colander in 7th. He suffered a couple of incidents down at Moss, one with a rear end crash into the wall and one being rear-ended by Harland Goulbourne in the braking zone. Phil Horwitz comes home nice and clean, a lap down. Gene Hawkes and Calvin Lee 2 laps down. Then we got Hans Salnave and Nick Horvath that both suffered big crashes along the way. Horvath not even making it 13 laps from the end there. But DJ, it looks like we're about ready to talk to our top 3.
We are indeed, and first of those is Mr. Andrew Hardman. Andrew, last week you said you were hoping for another good race, as this is another home circuit for you, and, well, you delivered.
Yeah, it was a great race. That was sort of a lot closer with Mike at the beginning. That was what I had hoped for, and we had a good sort of battle on keeping the gap. Fortunately, he had a mistake, but I think that was pretty good to start with, and then I just kept it going to bring it home.
Well, I have to ask you, I think by our calculations, this may just put you ahead in the championship. At this point, are you starting to look at those championship standings a little bit more, or are you still just taking things race by race?
Oh, for sure, taking things race by race. I mean, this whole thing is for fun in the end, and I don't want to let that ruin the fun for me. So just keep it going, keep it loose. Don't want to make it too serious.
I got to say, I love that attitude, my friend. But, well, I guess speaking of keeping it race to race, we were sort of joking on the broadcast that we head to the American version of Motorsport in Lime Rock next week. How do you think that's going to go? I mean, it's kind of similar tracks in the way that they seem to flow a little bit, and obviously shorter and not a whole lot of heavy braking.
Yeah, I think it'll be definitely a good time. I have sort of much less experience on Lime Rock than I do at Mosport. So that'll be a little bit of a learning curve, but for sure I'm looking forward to that type of track.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you guys out on it. Andrew, anybody you'd like to thank for yet another victory here tonight?
Oh, of course, Mike and the whole Britannia crew, and also all the people that came out to the Flying Husky race tonight. That was really cool to see more than 10 people out. And you guys, of course, for covering it. It's really cool to watch it back and show it to my friends and stuff when I do well. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Andrew. And now, Reese, you've caught up with one of those new folks making an appearance here tonight, and that is Tyler Gore.
Welcome to the commentary box, Mr. Gore. It was a battle of the Tylers for 3rd and 4th, and then later 2nd when Broomhead unfortunately made his mistake in front of you guys. But looked like a pretty active race from your perspective.
Thanks, guys. I had a great time being my first time out with the Flying Husky boys, but yeah, it was an intense battle. I'm sweating here. Scrally really put up a good fight, and we had some fun. Hopefully, put on a good show for you guys.
Yeah, you certainly did. And I guess I should ask. You would have obviously driven on Motorsport plenty on the iRacing service, but how does it feel in this Dallara Formula 3 car? You know, a lower level open wheeler, still very stiff on suspension.
It's a fast track for this car, I find. I'm on the edge for sure. The aero wash is what really got me. I did a lot of practice, but not a whole lot following guys, so I really had to relearn how to do that. The bumps, yeah, you just got to pick your spots and really be gentle on the brakes. So feathering that brake at the trail zone is really important. But I had a lot of fun, so it's good.
That's always good to hear. And next week, obviously, as DJ mentioned, we go to Lime Rock. Well, it's your series debut. Can we expect you back next week?
I'll be back. Absolutely.
Excellent. Good stuff there. Can't wait to see if you can back that podium up with another in virtual Connecticut. Before we let you go, Tyler, is there anyone that you'd like to thank or give a shout out to?
I got to thank the Flying Husky guys and my new teammates at Britannia iSports. They've been great so far, provided me with paint. It's been good. So thanks to them. And of course, thanks to you guys for doing what you do.
Tyler Gore there, very strong 2nd place after a 5th place start. Great gains in positions. But DJ, final driver interview of the night. Looks like you caught up with the 999 of Tyler Scarelli.
I have indeed, Tyler. We were just talking to your fellow Tyler about that great battle all through the race. It's got to feel good going wheel to wheel with somebody like that.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. I just wish I could have kept it cleaner there through 5. I kind of lost it there in braking, but that's just because Tyler was so good at keeping pressure on me the whole time. And yeah, that was a good race. And yeah, congrats to him on taking second and Andrew on taking first.
It looked like at the end you were starting to close him down a little bit. I mean, were you pushing really hard there? Was that just kind of a result of tires maybe starting to wear off? What was going on?
Oh, I was pushing. I wanted to take that place back, but I just couldn't get any consistency going. And Tyler, if you know how he drives, he's just super consistent. But yeah, it would have been nice if I could have closed it a little more, maybe made it a little more exciting. But nonetheless, I'm pretty happy with that. It was fun and definitely a good time.
Well, I know we had a great time seeing you up here in the booth and watching some of you new guys like that we're used to seeing over in PRL come over. You going to be around with us for Lime Rock next week? And how do you think that's going to go?
I think I'm gonna have to come to Lime Rock. Mike asked me to come do this race because it's our home track, kind of about an hour away from where I live, and yeah, definitely gonna do Lime Rock. Race there a little bit, like just in current series in iRacing, but looking forward to getting some practice. And I'm sure like Mike makes the setups for these, so I'm sure the setup would be awesome, like it always is too.
Well, we look forward to having you out on track, Tyler. Anybody you'd like to thank for this third place tonight?
Yeah, just the Flying Husky guys, you guys, Britannia, and just Mike Broomhead. He does a lot of work in this and in PRL to make all the setups and kind of help us with lines and anything else we need help with. So big thanks to Mike, and yeah, just happy to be here, having a good time.
Well, we're happy to have you. Thank you very much. That was Tyler Scarali, your third place finisher here tonight. And well, sadly, folks, that's going to wrap up our coverage here tonight of the Flying Husky Racing Series. But before we go, we'd like to thank a few of our sponsors, including Norsled, Save a Husky. For more information, contact Todd Curtis through email at todd@flyinghusky.racing. We'd also like to thank Flying Husky Racing. Find out more on the web at flyinghusky.racing. Flying Husky Racing. Track days are the best days. Also, a special thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Reese, Joe, and Dougie. You can find out more about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media listed on the screen below. Also, please remember to check out our merch store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the YouTube description below, so check that out. And don't forget to subscribe to that YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Well, you heard us say it. The next race for these Flying Huskies is going to be next Tuesday, September 14th at 8:20 at Lime Rock Park. We also have some upcoming races for other series listed on the screen right now, so check those out, mark them down on your calendar so you don't miss a moment. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.